Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Sunday, May 22nd, 2016, around 3:54 in the afternoon in Billerica, Massachusetts. It's been a mix and some clouds today, some spitting of the rain. Some news to report last night. St. Louis Blues beat San Jose Sharks, and even 2 games apiece in the Western Conference Finals for the NHL. And in the Eastern Conference Finals for the NBA, Toronto Raptors beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, ending their winning streak in the playoffs to reduce the series deficit 2-1. Game 3 tonight of the Western Conference Finals between the Warriors and the Thunder on TNT, and Game 5 of the Lightning and Penguins on NBCSN. And that's about it on news. My first video blog subject of the day is about my review of the 1990 starrcade pay-per-view Collision Course. This was the 8th annual starrcade for WCW, NWA, and this was the last starrcade that the NWA would have, but WCW basically kind of phased out the NW name in the summer of 1990. And the main event was Sting facing off against a Black Scorpion for the WCW World Title in a steel cage with a special guest referee, Dick the Bruiser. Plus, they had the Pat O'Connell Memorial Tag Team Tournament. 8 teams representing 8 countries in this, plus a few other matches. There was one dark match on this pay-per-view before the card. It was Wild Bill Irwin beating T.K. Carter, who was a preliminary wrestler. There actually was an actor named T.K. Carter, famous for being Mike on Punky Brewster, but it's not the same person. And calling the action for this pay-per-view for the Starrcade 1990 in St. Louis, Missouri at the Q Auditorium was good old J.R. Jim Ross and Paulie, dangerously known now as Paul Heyman. Jim Ross was probably the first Paul Heyman guy, and I'm a Julie Brennan guy. But anyway, and these are the matches that happened on pay-per-view. The first match was beautiful Bobby Eaton versus facing off against the Z-Man, and this was a competitive match. Back and forth, and in the end, Bobby Eaton pinned the Z-Man with an inside cradle for the 1, 2, 3. The next match was the quarterfinals of the Pat O'Connell Memorial Tag Team Tournament. It was Rick and Scott the Steiner Brothers, the reigning United States Tag Team Champions. The United States Tag Team titles were not defended on this pay-per-view or the tournament. They faced off against Sergeant Kruger and Colonel D. Kunk of South Africa, but Sergeant Klonick and Colonel D. Kirk were not from South Africa. Colonel de Klerk was actually Rock. This was only about a 2-minute match. Scott Steiner pinned Colonel de Klerk with the belly-to-belly suplex. The next match was the quarterfinals of the Pat O'Connell Memorial Tournament. It was Rey Mysterio Sr. and Conan representing Mexico facing off against Norman Smiley, the Big Wiggle, but he wasn't doing that then. And Gentleman Chris Adams representing the UK. It was about a 5-minute match, action-paced. Ending had Conan pin Norman Smiley after a kick. Afterwards, Rey Mysterio Sr. delivers a splash onto the stage area for Chris Adams, and Chris Adams is a little hurt. Also, Rey Mysterio Sr. injured himself. The next match was a quarterfinal match for the Pat O'Connell Memorial Tag Team Tournament. It was Mr. Saito and the Great Muta representing the land of the rising sun, Japan, facing off against representing New Zealand, the royal family, Whip Morgan and Jack Victory. And this was about 7-minute match. Ending had Jack Victory and Whip Morgan accidentally clothesline each other, and the Great Muta pinned Morgan for the 1, 2, 3. And then the last quarterfinal match for the Pat O'Connell Senior Memorial Tag Team Tournament, it was Victor Sanahu and Semen Heshoku, who were representing Russia, facing off against Troy Moulton and Dan Johnson representing Canada. And this was about a 6-minute match. Hasamu pinned Troy Moulton with the belly-to-belly souffle. And the next match was a computerized match. It was Terry Taylor facing off against Michael Lowstreet, Mike Rotundo ILS, with Alexander York, and Michael Lowstreet predicted he would beat Terry Taylor within 8 minutes and 32 seconds. It was a competitive match, back and forth. Ending had Michael Lowstreet pinned Terry Taylor with the Stockman Crash, which was a Samoan drop in 6 minutes and 52 seconds. So it was basically a minute 40 he beat him by. The next match were the Skyscrapers, who Sid Vicious and Dan Spivey facing off against the Big Cat and the Motor City Madman. It was originally going to be the Night Stalker, but he walked out on WCW, and this was only about a minute and second match, 61 seconds to be exact. The Skyscrapers gave a double power bomb to the Motor City Madman, and Sid Vicious pinned the Motor City Madman for the 1, 2, 3. The next match was a grudge tag team match. It was Tommy Wildfire Rich and Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express teaming with Robert Gibson, who was on crutches, facing off against the Fabulous Freebirds, Michael P.S. Hayes, Jimmy Jam Garvin, with Little Richard Marley. And this was a throwaway match, 6-minute match. Ending had Jimmy Garvin arguing with Richard Marley, and then Tommy Rich rolls up Jimmy Garvin for the 1, 2, 3. Afterwards, Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin give the double DDT to Richard Marley, and then they attack Robert Gibson on the stage area, knocking him out with a crutch, but Tommy Rich and Ricky Morton made the save. The next match were the semifinals of the Pat O'Connell Memorial Tag Team Tournament. It was the Steiner Brothers, Rick and Scott, representing the USA, facing off against Rey Mysterio Sr. and Conan, representing Mexico. Steiners were in control most of this match. Rick gives Conan the belly-to-belly suplex, and Scott Steiner gives Rey Mysterio the Frankenstein and pins him 1, 2, 3. The next match was the second semifinal match of the Pat O'Connell Senior Memorial Tag Team Tournament. It was Mr. Saito and the Great Muta facing off against Victor Zamenborg and Sam Hashio of Russia, and Mr. Saito pinned Victor with a suplex. And the next match was for the United States Heavyweight Championship in a Texas Bull Rope match. It was the Total Package Lex Luger facing off against the U.S. champion Stan Hansen, and on the way to winner, Texas Bull Rope match is for for you to touch all four top ring posts. And it was a back and forth match, ending had Lex Luger, Stan Hansen touched one, but Luger touched that one. And the second one, Stan Hansen touches, but Lex Luger touches it. The third one, it was Stan Hansen touching it and Luger touching it. And the fourth one, it was they were trying to get together, and then both of them touch it at the same time, but the referee knocks out, and then the second referee awards the match to Stan Hansen, but the original referee, who was out, gives it to Lex Luger, and then Luger's the United States champion once again. It was a great match. The next match was for the WCW World Tag Team Championship, held in a street fight. It was Doom, who were the reigning WCW World Tag Team Champions, Ron Simmons and Butch Reed, with Terry Long facing off against Arn Anderson and Barry Windham of the Four Horsemen. It was originally going to be Ric Flair, but we're going to talk about what Ric Flair was doing later. And this was about 6-7 minute match. It was a falls count anywhere. Ending had Ron Simmons give Arn Anderson the spine buster, but Barry Windham gave the inside cradle to Butch Reed, and the referee recounted 1, 2, 3, and he declared the match a draw because of both wrestlers being pinned. And Doom retains the WCW World Tag Team Championship. And the finals of the Pat O'Connell Memorial Tag Team Tournament, it was the Steiners representing the United States facing off against Mr. Saito and the Great Muta representing Japan. This was an awesome match, back and forth. Ending had Scott Steiner give the belly-to-belly suplex to Mr. Saito and pins him 1, 2, 3, and the Steiner brothers won the first and only Pat O'Connell Memorial Tag Team Tournament, and they waved the United States flag afterwards. And in the main event for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, it was the Black Scorpion facing off against Sting. It was in a steel cage. Special guest referee was professional wrestling legend Dick the Bruiser. And there was a special stipulation in this match. If the Black Scorpion would have lost, he would have to have his mask removed. And this was getting to be a big feud of WCW. It started in September with somebody from Sting's past who was stalking him, and there were rumors it was going to be the Ultimate Warrior, but he signed with WCW. No, he was WWE champion. There were rumors it was going to be Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, but that didn't come to pass. And this was, a decent match, back and forth, ending. Had Sting beat the Black Scorpion, pin him 1, 2, 3 to defeat him and retain the WCW World Title. And then Arn Anderson and Barry Windham come down and lock the cage, and they beat down on Sting. And there were several wrestlers who came in to open up the door to help Sting, and Sting grabs the mask, and it turns out to be Nature Boy Ric Flair, who got his hair cut. And this ending was, kind of horrible and stuff. It came down to Barry Windham and Ric Flair, who was going to be the Black Scorpion, and it would have been a major disappointment if it turned out to be Barry Windham. Ric Flair you could have seen because he and Sting had a history together. And this Starrcade pay-per-view was, in my humble opinion, a D, because of the tag team tournament had no place in Starrcade, in my humble opinion. They had some good feuds coming to a halt with Lex Luger and Stan Hansen, and Black Scorpion ending, which was horrible, which was horrible, but the rest of the card, especially the tournament matches, was like, some of them were too short except the end. And tomorrow I'm going to review Starrcade 1991, the Lethal Lottery. The second and final video blog of night's coming up. It will be about CBS sports reporter Allie LaForce in the personality profile. Keep calm, everybody. I'm a Julie Button guy. Molly was blood. WCCO Oxen has nice legs. Elizabeth Hart so stunning. She's the best. Amy Swenson so awesome. And in the words of Sean Lucha, get out by now.